When people hear Ethiopia, many don't picture travel. They think distance, difficulty, something unfamiliar. But arriving here feels different than expected. What surprises most visitors isn't how old Ethiopia is. It's how separate it feels from the rest of Africa. Not isolated, just operating by different rules. And you notice that almost immediately. This country doesn't feel like one place. Moving through Ethiopia feels uneven. One moment you're in a dense city. Then the road opens into empty highlands. Then suddenly, everything drops. Here's the first surprise. Ethiopia isn't flat, and it isn't uniform. Altitude changes fast. Climate shifts quickly. Travel plans adjust constantly. You don't settle into one rhythm here. You keep recalibrating. The journey itself becomes the narrative. The road from Addis to the south isn't a simple transit line, it's a vertical climb. You ascend the 3,000-meter Toto Mountains, the air thinning and chilling, passing eucalyptus forests shrouded in morning mist. An hour later, you descend into the Great Rift Valley, the land opening into a vast, sun-baked savannah dotted with acacia trees and lakes fluttering with pink flamingos. This isn't gradual change, it's a series of distinct ecological acts. The car's engine groans differently. The quality of light shifts from soft and diffuse to a sharp, defining glare. You pass from a zone of wheat and barley to one of sorghum and teff in the span of a valley. This constant recalibration means you pack for multiple seasons in a single day, and you learn that 2 hours away is a measure of terrain, not just distance. A city that doesn't feel old. In Addis Ababa, the pace feels practical. Traffic moves. People walk with purpose. Cafes are full. Here's the shock. This doesn't feel like a historic capital frozen in time. It feels active. Addis isn't built around monuments. It's built around daily life that changes expectations quickly. The city's history is lived, not displayed. You find it in the Berber spice mix sold from burlap sacks in the Mercato, a market so vast and chaotic, it feels like its own city within a city. You hear it in the jazz spilling from a basement bar in the Piaza district, the legacy of the 1960s swinging Addis era when the city was a hub of African modernity. You touch it on the worn steps of the Sittest Kilo Monument, where students gather. The National Museum holds Lucy, but the real continuity is outside. The ritual of the coffee ceremony, performed on sidewalks and in office foyers, a timeless anchor in a rushing city. The skyline is a jagged silhouette of cranes and half-finished towers, not minarets and spires, a place cut into the ground. In the north, you arrive somewhere that doesn't look constructed. It looks excavated. In Lalibela, churches sit below ground level, not on hills, not on foundations. They were carved straight down into the solid rock. Here's what surprises visitors. You don't approach these buildings. You descend into them. And that changes how you experience the space. The engineering is disorienting. At Bet Georges, Street Georges, the most iconic, you see first a perfect Greek cross, 15 meters deep, as a void in the earth. To enter, you must go down a trench and through a narrow tunnel, a symbolic descent. The interiors are not decorated. They are revealed. Pillars, arches, windows, all are monolithic parts of the original volcanic tuff. The light is strategic and dramatic, often entering only from a small high window, illuminating a single fresco or a beam of dust-filled air. It's architecture as an act of profound subtraction, where faith meant not building up, but digging down to find the sacred form already hidden within the earth. If you're interested in places that don't match their reputation, places that work differently once you arrive, subscribe. This channel focuses on destinations most people misunderstand, where the land drops away. Traveling east, the ground begins to break apart. The air gets hotter. The colors shift. The horizon flattens. This is the Danakil Depression. Here's the shock. Parts of this region are among the hottest places on Earth. People don't pass through casually. Visits are timed. Movement is deliberate. This is not a place you wander. It demands planning. This feels less like a landscape and more like a pathology of the earth. The ground crunches with salt crust. Sulfur springs bubble in neon yellow pools. Camel caravans, ancient in design, move slabs of salt cut from the plain. You stand on a tectonic rift, literally watching continent pull apart from continent. The heat is aggressive, but the silence is total, broken only by the hiss of volcanic vents. It is profoundly, unnervingly beautiful in a way that feels completely alien. And then the land rises again. Mountains most people don't expect. In the north, elevation returns. Cliffs stretch wide. Paths narrow. Clouds move below you. This is the Simien Mountains. Here's what surprises most visitors. This doesn't feel like Africa as people imagine it. It feels remote, high, quiet. Wildlife moves freely. Villages sit far apart. Space dominates everything. The scale is deceptive. What looks like a nearby ridge is a day's walk away. Gelada baboons, hundreds strong, feed on the high plains with the indifference of cattle, their conversation a low, constant chatter. Shepherds wrapped in heavy blankets appear silhouetted on escarpments, standing still as the mist flows past them. The feeling isn't just of being in mountains, but of being on a great tilted plateau that has been violently eroded, leaving you on an island in the sky. The air is thin, cool, and carries a profound sense of exposure. A city that never closed itself off. In eastern Ethiopia, walls surround an old city. Inside Harar, streets tighten. Homes stack close. Movement slows. Everything feels contained. Here's the shock. This city has been continuously inhabited for centuries. Not preserved. Not rebuilt. Used. You don't visit history here. You move through it. Harar is a labyrinth calibrated for people, not vehicles. You navigate by the color of a door, the scent of a specific spice shop, the sound of Quranic recitation from a mosque no bigger than a room. At dusk, the ancient hyena man arrives outside the walls, and wild hyenas emerge from the darkness to be fed, a ritualized pact between species that's been upheld for generations. The walls aren't a museum boundary. They're a permeable membrane. Life, dense and intricate, has been piling up inside them for 1,000 years. Why time feels different here? Traveling in Ethiopia requires adjustment. Days start early. Distances take longer. Schedules change. Here's what most visitors don't realize. Ethiopia operates on its own calendar and time system. This isn't symbolic. It affects daily life. Once you notice it, the country feels slightly out of sync. And that's intentional. The Ethiopian calendar runs roughly 7 years behind the Gregorian, and the day begins at sunrise, not midnight. So when a local says it's 3 o'clock, they mean 9 a.m. This isn't a quirk for tourists. It's how the country marks time. It forces you to listen more carefully, to reconfirm, to shed your own rhythm. You realize time itself is a cultural construct, and here, it's rooted in the ancient Axumite kingdom and the cycles of the sun. You don't just adjust your watch, you adjust your internal clock. Why most people never come. Ethiopia doesn't simplify itself. It doesn't package experiences neatly. It doesn't smooth over differences. That makes it demanding. And that's why it's overlooked. But for people who arrive prepared, that complexity becomes the main reason to stay. There's no single Ethiopian experience to consume. It refuses to be a backdrop. It asks you to engage with its contradictions. Profound poverty alongside immense cultural wealth. Staggering hospitality amid necessary caution. Bone-rattling travel to reach places of sublime peace. It requires a tolerance for ambiguity. The traveler looking for a curated, seamless journey will find friction. The traveler looking for a place that challenges their perceptions will find a deep and resonant reward. Ethiopia isn't a single experience. It's altitude and heat, crowded cities and empty plateaus, ancient places still in use. It doesn't explain itself quickly. It requires attention. If this video changed how you think about Ethiopia, subscribe. Because some of the most rewarding places to visit are the ones that don't meet you halfway.